Hello everyone, today I'll be teaching you how to make another design, and you'll be needing a 0.70mm fishing line, a round bag handle, and a pack of sugar bead. So to start, you want to cut a desirable length of fishing line, and then you go in with 6 beads. So after doing this, you cross with the 6th bead. Next, on your left fishing line, put 5 beads. And then cross with the 5th bead. So after doing that, you have this. Now you pass your right fishing line into the next bead, into 1 bead. And on your left fishing line, 4 beads. So after doing this, you cross with the 4th bead. Again, pass your right fishing line into the next bead, into 1 bead. And on your left fishing line, 4 bead, because we're making a ring of 6. So after doing this, cross with the 4th bead. Then you pass your right fishing line into the next bead. And on your left fishing line, 4 beads. Then you cross with the 4th bead. Once again, pass your right fishing line into the next bead, and then on your left fishing line, 4 beads. So after doing this, you cross with the 4th bead. Now you want to pass your right fishing line into the next 2 beads. So that completes this circle. So after passing, on your left fishing line, you put 3 beads. And then cross with the 3rd bead. Now, pass your right fishing line into the next bead, into just 1 bead. And then put 4 beads into your left fishing line. Then you cross with the 4th bead. Next, you pass your right fishing line into the next bead. So for this stage, we'll be making a ring of 5 and 6. So we've made a ring of 6, now I'm making a ring of 5. So now on your left fishing line, 3 beads. Then you cross with the 3rd bead. So that's going to make a ring of 5. To make a ring of 6 now, you're going to pass your right fishing line into the next 2 beads. and then on the left fishing line 3 beads, then cross with the third bead. Now we have a ring of 6. Again, to make a ring of 5, you pass your fishing line into 1 bead only. Then on your left fishing line 3 beads, then cross with the third bead. To make a ring of 6, you pass your right fishing line into the next 2 beads. Then on the left fishing line 3 beads, then cross with the third bead. So this is what you are going to do until you get to the end of this circle. Take 3 beads on your left fishing line, then you cross with the third bead. Now pass your right fishing line into the next 2 beads. And on the left fishing line, you put 3 beads and cross with the third bead. Now pass the right fishing line into the next 1 bead. And on the left fishing line, 3 beads and cross with the third bead. Now pass the right fishing line to the next 2 beads. And on the left fishing line, 3 beads, then cross with the third bead. Pass the right fishing line again into the next 1 bead. And on the left fishing line, 3 beads and cross with the third bead. Now pass the right fishing line into the next 2 beads. And on your left fishing line, 3 beads and cross with the third bead. So to close the circle up, you are going to pass your fishing line into the next 2 beads. Into the next 2 beads, your right fishing line into the next 2 beads. And on the left fishing line, 2 beads. Then cross with the second bead. Now on your left fishing line, you start with 3 beads. Then you cross with the third bead. After doing this, pass your right fishing line to the next 1 bead. And on your left fishing line, 2 beads. Then you cross with the second bead. Repeat the same process by passing your right fishing line into the next 1 bead. And then on your left fishing line, 2 beads. And then you cross with the second bead. Pass your right fishing line into the next 1 bead. And on your left fishing line, 2 beads and cross with the second bead. So this is what we are going to do till we get to the end of this circle. Pass your right fishing line into the next bead, and on your left fishing line, 2 beads and you cross with the second bead. Again, pass your right fishing line into the next 1 bead, and on your left fishing line, 2 beads, then cross with the second bead. Now to close the circle up, pass your right fishing line into the next 2 beads. And on your left fishing line, just 1 bead. So you cross with just 1 bead. So from here, I'm going to hide the rest of my fishing line into the beads. And for this particular circle, you'll be making 2 pieces of this. When we get to where you're going to make use of the second one, you are going to see it. So you have to make 2 of this. So I'm just hiding my fishing line into the bead here. So I'm going to cut off the excess fishing line. And now it is time to start with the next step. To start, you cut another fishing line and you go in with 4 beads. Then cross with the 4th bead. After this, put 1 bead on both sides of the fishing line. Then cross with 1 bead. Do the same thing again. Put 1 bead on both sides of the fishing line. Then cross with 1 bead. Repeat the same process again by putting 1 bead on both sides of the fishing line, and then cross with another 1 bead. So you want to continue until you get to the 11th step. If you count it by the side, I'm currently on the 8 steps and I'm going to 11 steps. So I'm going to continue by putting 1 bead on both sides of the fishing line, and then I'll cross with 1 bead. So if you count it by the side now, it is already on the 11th step. Then on your left fishing line, you go in with 3 beads on your left fishing line only, then you cross with 1 bead. Then you should have something like this. So by the time you count it now, it is going to be 12 steps. Now on your left fishing line, start with 3 beads and you cross with the 3rd bead. So after this, pass your right fishing line into the next bead. You are passing into only 1 bead. Then on your left fishing line, 2 beads, and then you cross with the 2nd bead. Again, pass your right fishing line into the next bead. And on your left fishing line, 2 beads, then you cross with the 2nd bead. Repeat the same process again by passing your right fishing line into the next bead. And then on your left fishing line, 2 beads, and cross with the 2nd bead. So you want to continue like this until you get to the end. You pass your right fishing line to the next bead, and on your left fishing line you put 2 beads and cross with the second bead. Continue like this. On your left fishing line now, you are putting 2 beads and crossing with the second bead. Then you pass into the next bead with your right fishing line. And on your on your left fishing line, you go in with 2 beads and cross with the second bead. So now that we've gotten to the last bead, you pass your right fishing line into the left bead. Pass your fishing line to the next bead, then you turn it over just like I did, and on your left fishing line you go in with 2 beads and cross with the second bead. On your left fishing line, 2 beads. So now to start with another step, on your left fishing line you start with 3 beads and then you cross with the third bead. After doing this, pass your right fishing line into the next bead, into 1 bead. Then on your left fishing line, 2 beads and then you cross with the second bead. Again, pass your right fishing line into the next bead, and then on your left fishing line you go in with 2 beads and cross with the second bead, just like that. So you continue like this until you get to the end of this step as well. You pass your right fishing line into the next bead, and then on your left fishing line, 2 beads and you cross with the second bead. Pass your right fishing line into the next bead, and on your left fishing line, 2 beads and you cross with the second bead. On your left fishing line, 2 beads and you cross with the second bead. Then you pass your right fishing line into the next bead, just like that. And on your left fishing line you go in with 2 beads and cross with the second bead. Pass your right fishing line into the next bead, and on your left fishing line, 2 beads. Then you cross with the second bead. Now we've gotten to the last bead on this step. So you pass your right fishing line into the last bead, then you turn it over, and then on your left fishing line, on that fishing line you go in with 2 beads and then you cross with the second bead. Now this has gotten us to the third step. If our counting is by the side, this is the third step. So I'm going to show you this procedure again, and then I'll do the rest off camera. So as you can see, I'm currently on the 4th step, but you'll be making up to 29 steps. I'm currently on my 4th step if I'm counting it by the side. I'm not talking of the base that we started with. I know we started with 12 steps for the base, but by the side we have 4 steps at the moment. So you'll be taking these 4 steps up to the 29th step. So you're just basically going to continue doing the whole process like I've been doing until you get up to the 29th step. So I'm just going to re-explain all over again. You pass your right fishing line into the next bead, and on your left fishing line, you'll be going in with 2 beads, and then you cross with the second bead. You pass your right fishing line again into the next bead. On your left fishing line, 2 beads, then you cross with the second bead. And when you get to the last of the bead, before you put in your bead, you are going to cross it over or turn it over before putting the beads into the left fishing line. So I'm just basically doing the same thing here. I'm passing the fishing line to the next bead, and then on the left fishing line, I'm going in with 2 beads and crossing with the second bead. So I've gotten to the last bead on this step. Then I'm going to turn it over, and on the left fishing line, I'll be putting 2 beads and I'll cross with the second bead before I start over with the next step, which is the 5th step. So this brings us to the end of the 4th step. That's 4th step. So now to start with the 5th step, you start by putting 3 beads, then cross with the 3rd bead. After this, you pass your right fishing line into the next bead, and on the left fishing line, you go in with 2 beads and cross with the second bead. Can you see now I have 5 beads? Don't forget I'm taking this up to the 29th step. 29 steps, do not forget. So this is what I was talking about. I know you might want to count this. I actually have 34 steps here. I made a mistake with mine. That is why I was repeating it, that you have to do 29 steps. So for the circle we made at the beginning, you have to make 2 of that. I made 2 of that already. Now the next thing you want to do now is to join the round or the circle part that we first made to the flat mat that we did. So to do this, ensure that your fishing line is coming out from the top of the bead. You can start with a new fishing line, or if you have a leftover fishing line, you can work with that as well. So on your left fishing line, you put 1 bead. After putting 1 bead, you pass it into any of the bead on the round part, as you can see. Then you cross with 1 bead. You join both sides of your fishing line together with 1 bead. It is pretty easy. Ensure that your fishing line is coming out from one part of the flat one. So once your fishing line is coming out, you put in 1 bead in it before passing that same fishing line into one of the bead on the round one. So after doing this, you now want to start by passing your fishing line into the next bead. So you have 1 fishing line for the flat part and you have another fishing line for the round part. So you pass both fishing lines into the next bead on both sides of your project. That's the one on the flat side and the one on the circle side or the round side. So after passing out your fishing line like this, then you cross with 1 bead. So you do the same thing again. For your flat side, you pass it into the next bead, into just 1 bead. And for the circle part, you pass it into the next bead as well. Then you cross both sides with just 1 bead. So this is what you are going to repeat until you have 5 beads left on the circle part. You are not going to lock it up completely because that is where your essentials and stuff would pass through. That will be the opening of the bag. So on the circle side, you are going to have 5 beads left. When we get there, you are going to see it. So let's just continue. After passing the fishing line into the beads, then you cross it with 1 bead like that. As you continue to bead, it will gradually start folding in by itself, or you can fold it by yourself, but it will start folding in by itself. So I'm just doing what I've explained earlier before by passing the fishing line into the one for the left side, and I'm doing the one for the round side too. Then after doing this, I'm going to cross with one bead. And ensure that you are pulling really tight. Ensure that you are pulling really tight so that it is going to be firm. Now, can you see that it is already curving already? It is already bending already. So as you continue to bead, it will continue to bend and bend and bend like that. So I hope you can see, even without me saying anything, this is already self-explanatory. So I'm just passing the fishing line into the next bead, and then I'll cross with one bead. I have one fishing line on the right and I have another one on the left. The one on the right is the one I'm passing into the flat part, and the one on the left is the one I'm passing into the round side. Then I'll be crossing with one bead. And you remember that we made 2 of these round parts. So after joining this one finish, you go over and join the other part of the bag too with the second one. You start the same way you start with this. You start from the top of the flat side and you join it together with the round one. It's the same thing with this one. So do not forget that you are passing the fishing line into the beads before crossing with one bead. So I'm almost done with locking this side up. I'm almost done with finishing it. And don't forget that you have to leave 5 beads. You have to leave 5 beads on the round part. I hope you can see what I am doing. So I'm just passing the fishing line into the beads and I'm crossing them with one bead. So I'm almost done. I'm almost done with this part. And if you run out of fishing line, you just hide the leftover fishing line and you start with a new one. So now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to count what I have left on the round side. That's 5. That's where the 5th bead is stopping at. Can you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm done like this now. I have 5 left that I've not done. So that is the 5 I'm going to leave. And what I'm going to do now is just to take back my leftover fishing line into the beads. I'm just going to hide the fishing line into the bead and I am done. So after hiding your fishing line, you go over to the other side and fix the round part to it as well. If you want to join your fishing line or if you want to hide your fishing line, ensure that you are pulling it very, very tight. so that when you are done, the bag will not be loose by the edge, because this part requires you pulling very tight so that the side will not be loose. So this is me in the process of hiding my leftover fishing line, and when I'm done, I'm going to cut off the excess fishing line. Now it is time to join the second side. Like I said, you start by putting one bead into your fishing line, or you can just decide by starting by putting your fishing line into any of the beads before putting the bead, but ensure that you have one bead at the top. You see what I mean by having one bead by the top? Can you see? You have one bead by the top, then you now start joining it with one bead. So it's more like we're even making a ring of 4. Then from here you start passing into the next bead. The one for the left side, you pass it into the next bead. The one for the right side, you also pass it into the next bead, and then you cross both sides with one bead. You do this down until you have 5 beads left on the circle side. Note that these 5 beads you're having left should be on the circle side. It should not be on the flat side. The 5 leftover beads you are meant to have should be on the round side. So I'm just going to continue the same process until you get to the end and you have 5 beads left. So just continue by passing your beads into the next one beside it, and then you cross with one. So when you are done with this, ensure that you're having 5 beads left on the circular part. You know, I said it earlier before that as you are beading, it will start curving. Can you see that it has curved by itself already? So you're just passing your fishing line into the next bead and you're crossing with one bead. Very easy and straightforward. So guys, we're done. We're done with joining both sides. And can you see why I said you should leave 5 beads left? We have an opening at the top, so that is where your stuff can stay in, your phone, your wallet, your money, whatever it is you want to keep. Now it is time to fix the magnet lock to the bag so that the cover will stay in place, and I'm going to show you a very simple and quick technique to fix your magnet so that it will be on the same position. So this is what my magnet look like. It has 2 sides to it, and as you can see, it has 2 sharp pointed tip, so you can either use a plier to close it up like this, but I forgot my plier, so I'll be using my hand to bend it over or to close it like this. It is very hard, so you can just use a flat nose plier to close this, or you can use your hand. Either way works. Now the technique I said I was going to teach you to fix your magnets is this. To know where to place it on, you're going to count 2 steps downward and 2 steps inside. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm counting 2 steps downward and I'm counting 2 steps inside. So that is exactly where I'm placing the magnet on. And you can decide to do yours anyhow. You can decide to make it come inside more than that. Anyhow is fine, but that's what me I want to do. So that is that 4 ring that I'm going to be fixing my magnet on. Now the first bead on the ring of 4 is where I'm passing my fishing line through. I have to zoom in so that you see it very well. In that ring of 4, I'm passing my fishing line into the first bead where you see my fishing line coming out from. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pass both of the fishing line into the magnet. Can you see? So one is coming through from the right and one is coming through from the left. It's just like when you're crossing your bead, then you're going to pull it down. After pulling it down, you have one part of your fishing line on the left side and you have another part on the right side. So the fishing line that is on the left side, you're going to pass it into the left bead. That's the bead that is close to the fishing line on the left hand side. Then you pull it out. So you also go over to the same for the right fishing line too. You pass it through the bead that is close to it, just like that. Then you have your fishing line coming out. So after doing this, you pass it again into your magnet. One will come through from the left, like that, and another one will come through from the right. So one is going to be down and the other one is going to be up by the time you are done. So after doing this, you pull again and it's already in place already. I said we are working with a ring of 4. We've passed our fishing line through 3 beads. Now we have 1 bead left, which is that one that I just touched. So then you'll be passing your fishing line, both of your fishing line, into that 1 bead, into that particular bead. You pass your fishing line into that particular bead and you are done fixing your magnet. So what you have left to do now is to hide the leftover fishing line into your bead and you cut off the excess. It won't be advisable for you to just cut it off from there because it can easily remove. So what I do is just pass the leftover fishing line into the beads that I have left. And when I'm done passing my fishing line, I'm going to cut off the excess. So when you are doing this, after doing this, you go over to fix the magnets for the other side because you are fixing 2 magnets. The bag is wide. If it was smaller than this, you can work with 1 magnet, but because of it is wide, that is why I'm using 2 magnets. Don't forget how I counted where to place my magnet on. I counted 2 at the top and 2 by the side. So that is the same process you are going to do to fix the magnet on the other side as well. If you miss anything, you can just take the video backward to watch so that you would understand. So after passing the remaining fishing line that you have, you cut off the excess and then you go over to fix the other side. Can you see now? I have my magnet on both sides of the bead. Now it is time to fix the other magnets. So to do this, I am going to close the bag. I'm going to close the bag. I feel this is very, very easy to do. I close the bag and then I just look through to see where it is falling on the other side. And when I counted, I have it on the 5th bead. On the 5th bead, and in the middle it is on the 3rd ring. I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm going to explain again. If you want to count, because this is where my own magnet is going to be on, that's where it's going to be on. So when you're counting from the edge, it falls on the 3rd bead. And when I'm counting from the top, it is on the 5th step. Even without counting, merely looking at it, you already know where the other part of the magnet is going to be on. So you are simply fixing it on the side that is directly opposite to it. So by the time you are closing your bag, you are having your magnet on the same position. So you have to take your time to watch this very well. You don't want to fix it in a way that when you want to close it, your magnet, the one at the other side, will be on the left, and by the time you want to close it, it will not match with the one that is down. So that's the essence of you closing it to see where exactly it is going to be on. So it's just the same way I explained how to fix the magnet for the other side. That's the same way you're going to fix for this side as well. And if you look close, you see that your magnet has two sides to it. One side is flat, and this one I'm working with is a bit bigger than the first one that I used. So this one that is big is the one I'm fixing to this particular side of the bag, while the other flat one is the one I'm fixing to the flat side of the bag. And you'll be working on a ring of 4 like I explained during the first magnets that I showed you how to fix. So after passing your fish line into the first bead in that ring of 4, you pass it into your magnet. After passing it into your magnet, one part of your fish line will be coming out from the left, one will be coming out from the right. After doing this, you pass into your magnet again, and then you pass both of your fish line into one bead, into the last bead in that ring of 4. Then after this, what you want to do is to just pull it tight and hide your leftover fishing line. Then you cut off the excess when you are done hiding your leftover fishing line. And that is how to fix your magnets. If you have any issues fixing this, or you're not getting it, you can send me a DM and I'll explain better to you. But this is very, very simple and straightforward. Just take your time to watch the video and you're going to understand. So after doing this, I'm going to hide my leftover fishing line into the bead, and then I'll cut off the excess. So guys, I am done fixing both of the magnets, and I'm just hiding the leftover fishing line, and then I'll cut off the excess. By the time I close my bag now, you see that it will be on both sides. It will be on equal side. So I am done fixing the magnet, and I'm just going to close the bag for you to see. Now it is looking good already. It is looking so fine already. And the last stage, or the last thing to do to this bag, is to fix the bag handle. It is to fix the bag handle at the top. Now, and if you remember, there was 5 beads left on the round side. So if you want to fix the handle, you are going to let it be on the middle of the bag, and the middle is the 3rd bead, because obviously when you are counting from the left and from the right, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, and 1 in the middle, that makes it 5 in total. Now on that line where my fishing line is coming out from, there is 13 beads on that line if you are counting. So you want 5 beads to be on the left side and 5 from the right side. Then you're going to have 3 beads left in the middle. Now it is that 3 beads you'll be working on. So to start, on your left fishing line, you put 3 beads. Then you pass your bag handle into that same left fishing line, just like that. Then you cross with the 3rd bead. Can you see what I am doing? Now just follow what my hand is showing you. You pass your right fishing line into the next bead that is very close to it. By the side, you're not taking it downward, by the side. Then on your left fishing line, you put 2 beads and cross with the second bead. Now you cross with the second bead. Just like that. Again, you pass it into the next bead beside it. After passing out the fishing line, then on your left fishing line, you put 2 beads and you cross with the second bead. Don't forget how I started. On that line that has 13 beads, you'll be leaving 5 on the left and you'll be leaving 5 on the right. So it is the remaining 3 beads in the middle that you are working and you are fixing your bag handle on. So now I'm going to pass my fishing line into the next bead that is at the top, because I'm coming up this time around. I'm not taking it all straight down. So I'm bringing it up. Now after passing it, ensure that that fishing line you pass, it is coming out from your bag handle, just like that. Then on your left fishing line, you put 2 beads and cross with the second bead. You see now that after I remove it, it will not stay. The bag handle will not stay that way. So ensure that your fishing line is coming out under your bag handle, or your bag handle is inside the fishing line. So after crossing it, you want to take it forward this time around. You pass it into the bead that is beside it. I'm using this cutter to pull out the fishing line because it is a bit hard there to bring it out with my hand. So that is why I'm using that to bring it out. If you have a needle, you can also use a needle if you're having the same difficulty in that place. So let's go back to what I was talking about. On your left fishing line now, you're going to go in with 2 beads, then you cross with the second bead. Now I've gotten to the last bead. Now you're going to pass your fishing line into the next 2 beads. That's the one that is down and the one at the top. One at down, the one at the top. Exactly where my cutter was pointing to, that is where you're going to pass your fishing line to. Now I'm bringing it up to the one at the top. After this, you cross with just 1 bead. Now we're not going to leave the top like that. I'm going to close that up. That's middle part. We're going to close it up. So take your left fishing line, pass it into the next bead, pass it into the next bead again. Now if you watch closely, both of your fishing line is coming out on the same side. Then you cross with 1 bead. So with this you've crossed, and with this you've closed that open space. And what you have left to do now is to pass your leftover fishing line into the beads, and you are done making your bag. So this is the last and final process for this bag. So just watch closely to see what I am doing, to see how I am hiding the leftover fishing line into the beads. Ensure they are pulling really tight. Now I'm taking the fishing line backward to just tighten it. I'm passing through that same beads again to just tighten it again. There's nothing special. I'm not doing anything different here. So after doing all of this, you just have to take your fishing line down. You can just like pass it into the beads that you have left. So just watch what I'm doing so you understand very well. So this brings us to the end of the bag, and I'm going to cut off the excess and I'm done with my bag.